Analysing Arsenal's transfer window. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Arsenal's transfer window and rating it as a percentage. The Gunners invested a lot this summer, and rightfully so. They finished second 3 seasons in a row, and they didn't look convincing in attack last season, and also had a lot of injuries. But this season, it looks like they've strengthened in all areas of the pitch. As always, we'll start with the cheapest and work our way up to the most expensive incomings. Kepa cost Arsenal €5.8 million from Chelsea. It's mad to think when Chelsea bought him, he cost €80 million, and he still is the most expensive goalkeeper of all time. It's a shame things didn't work out for him at Chelsea, but he is a 2 times Champions League winner, once with Chelsea and once with Real Madrid, so not all bad for him. I think for value it's an 8 out of 10, as you get an experienced Prem goalkeeper who just came off having a good season with Bournemouth for a very cheap price, and he won't be asking to start every week, as he probably understands Raya is a level above him. In terms of fitting the team, I'll give him a 5 out of 10. If Raya was to get injured and Kepa steps in, Arsenal concede a lot more in my opinion. Kepa isn't commanding enough, like Raya. He can't help the defence stay organised, and he's very shaky sometimes with his hands. We all know how much Arsenal also like playing out the back, and that isn't Kepa's strength, but he's also not the worst at it. Not a bad signing for Arsenal, considering he's mainly going to be a backup as long as Raya stays fit. Kepa's rating out of 20 is 13. Norgard cost Arsenal €11.6 million from Brentford. This did catch a few people off guard and question Arsenal for buying him, but it does make sense if you think about it carefully. We'll use Wataru Ender for example. He comes on when Liverpool need to defend the lead, and he does a very good job in doing so. He doesn't complain about his game time, doesn't give the manager issues, just comes on for the last 10 minutes, disrupts the opposition, and helps Liverpool keep the lead. In my opinion, every team needs that sort of player, who's willing to give it his all when he gets subbed on and doesn't complain about the game time whatsoever. And I see Norgard taking up this role for Arsenal. When Arsenal need to defend the 1 goal lead and not looking to attack or play pretty football, just sub on Norgard, and don't forget, he was Brentford's captain, so he can actually play if he was told to and has a good communication. It's good depth, so in terms of fitting the team, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 because he will be able to do that Endo role very effectively. For value, getting a Premier League captain for just €11.6 million is a good deal, so I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Norgard's rating out of 20 is 15. Mosquera cost Arsenal €15 million from Valencia, and this might be the bargain of the summer. Because how do you get a player that good for so cheap? He's looked brilliant since arriving at the Emirates, and has stepped into Saliba's shoes whilst being injured effortlessly. I was skeptical of him at first, but I did know he was going to be good cover regardless, and don't have much to lose as he was relatively cheap anyways. He fits the system well. I don't see him ever being a star, but I can see Arsenal selling him for double the amount they bought him for in 2-3 seasons. In terms of fit, I'm giving him an 8 out of 10. He looks good, but isn't world class status, and I don't think he will be. However, he's good cover and looks more than comfortable in playing. For value, I'm going 10 out of 10, as Arsenal really secured a top player for such a low amount. Like I said earlier, I think they'll double on him in a couple seasons. Mosquera's rating out of 20 is 18. I know Hincapié is on loan right now, but it's an obligation to buy, so the fee will go through. In fact, it's apparently guaranteed he's going to join permanently in the summer. It's just Arsenal wanted to pay from the 2026-27 season. Hincapié cost Arsenal €52 million, which is a good fee for him, as he is a good modern day centre back who can also play left back. In terms of fitting the team, I'm giving him a 10. Yes, he's not a starter right now, but I think with Lewis Skelly becoming a permanent midfielder this season, it leaves the left back position between him and Calafiori, and I do think he'll eventually make it his. He fits the system perfectly. He's a defender comfortable with both feet, can invert inwards, is a strong defender in the air, and not easy to get past. He can also bomb forward whenever you need him to. He's got a good pace on him. Arteta's fullbacks are quite defensive, and I think he fits well into that. If Gabriel also needed rest, what an excellent cover to have. You see how people say Ekitike and Isak is greedy? I think this is a similar case. Hincapié and Gabriel is also greedy. For value I'm going 10, because I thought he'd cost €80 million considering how highly Leverkusen rated him, and they don't like to sell for cheap, as we saw with Wirtz, unless there's a release clause. However, he didn't have a release clause. I think this is the first official 20 I've given on this channel. I'm a big fan of Hincapié, so his rating is a 20 out of 20. Madueke cost Arsenal €56 million from Chelsea, and I have to say, I'm honestly not sure on this one. Madueke has had a way better start to life at Arsenal than I could have ever expected. I don't deny he's a good player, but I don't think he'll ever stay consistent in his career or become world class. Not because I don't think he's good or I don't rate him. I just think there's a difference between the elites and the goods. Don't forget Madueke had a good start to life at Chelsea for the first 6 months when Lampard was in charge. I also can't see how he starts for Arsenal when they have a full 11. To pay this much for a player who isn't going to be starting can be concerning. But it's not only that. I also think there's levels between him and Saka, so I can't see how Madueke can replicate Saka's performances. In terms of fit, I'm giving Madueke in 6. He's looked bright so far, but I don't think he'll be able to stay in the side, and I'm not sure he can keep up the performances. For value, I'm going 5 out of 10. I just personally don't believe Arsenal needed to spend this much on a backup winger. If they never bought Eze, this would be a completely different story, and I'd be rating Madueke way higher. Because Madueke could have gone left wing, and they have Waneri who could have covered the right wing position for Saka, which is what, in my opinion, they should have done. I don't deny Madueke has excellent attributes to his game that could potentially knock his level up. But in the end of the day, it is a manager's issue, and it's not bad to have this amount of healthy competition, but I think they could have spent the money better. Madueke's rating out of 20 is 11. Gyökeres cost Arsenal €65.8 million from Sporting and could potentially rise to €75 million in the future. Many were saying he's what Arsenal have been missing in the last couple seasons. A deadly striker, someone who finished the game off when given the opportunity. And what do Arsenal go and do? They go and buy the attacker with the most goals in Europe's top 6 leagues. In terms of fitting the system, I'm giving him an 8. I think he's had a good start, but in certain games when Arsenal can't attack the whole game or hold the ball up and have possession, like they did against Liverpool and United, he'll struggle. He'll have to adapt. For example, the 4 big games Arsenal have played this year, he looks out of it. United, Liverpool, Bilbao and Manchester City. He's not particularly smooth with the ball either, but he's an excellent poacher and has good physique and can run. He will, in my opinion, score plenty of goals for Arsenal. Maybe not in this season, as I see it as an adaptation period for him, but in the future. For value, I'm going 9 out of 10. You get the top scorer in the top 6 divisions of Europe. For less than 100 million, it's impressive. We saw the likes of Nunez and Goncalo Ramos, who didn't score anywhere near as Gyökeres, in the same league, go for nearly 100 million. So I think this is a good deal and way less than I would have ever expected. Gyökeres' rating out of 20 is 17. Eze cost Arsenal €69.3 million from Crystal Palace. Arsenal have really improved their attack this summer. Eze, in my opinion, is world class and people can finally see it out Arsenal. He can play left wing, cam, and even if you told him to play false 9, I bet he could do it. But in my opinion, he was brought in to play off the left. He is an upgrade on Martinelli and Trossard, as I think he provides more and offers more than those two, despite Martinelli's good form recently. He's a good player one-on-one, and he's a good wide man, which is what Arteta wants in his players. I don't think he will always stay wide. I think Arteta will give him freedom to drift inwards, as what he likes to do. He can also step up if Odegaard is absent in the 10th position and glide past players. His return was iconic. A boyhood fan who got released at 13 years old and made his way back to Arsenal 14 years later. I think he loves the club more than we realise, and he'll be dying to win some trophies and score some goals. The passion will be there. I think he'll make the left wing position his in a few weeks' time, and I do see one of Arsenal's other left wingers, whether that's Trossard or Martinelli, leaving the club in the next summer transfer window, if not even then, the January transfer window. For value, I'm going 9 out of 10. It is a bit expensive, but expensive doesn't mean it's not worth it. Maybe they could have brought the fee down a little bit, as it was similar to the release clause Palace had, which expired a bit earlier in the summer transfer window. Eze's rating out of 20 is 18. And finally, the last incoming, but the most expensive of them all, Martin Zubimendi. Zubimendi cost Arsenal €70 million from Real Sociedad, and I have mixed feelings about this one. I was under the impression he was available for much cheaper last season, but he didn't want to leave for Liverpool. And it's not like he had a world-class season in this year difference between him leaving the club. So for his price to skyrocket up that amount, it feels strange. He is a good player and definitely an upgrade on their previous DM, and I think he complements Rice well in the midfield. In terms of fitting the system, I'm giving him 8 out of 10, but I still think he's got some bits left in him to make it a 10, like his progressive carrying or long range passes, but I think eventually that will all click. But I'm going to go with an 8. For value, I'm going 8. As I mentioned earlier, the price last season seemed cheaper for him, but there are no better DMs available on the market for that price. We've seen of Rice, Caicedo, and Balaba's price tag set by Brighton how expensive DMs can be in the modern football, and the best one on the market in my opinion was Zubimendi. But they could have gone in for cheaper last year. Whatever they did to convince him this summer, they surely could have done last summer. It's not like they didn't have all the Spanish players before, bar Mosquera and Kepa. They still had Raya, Marino, and the manager Arteta. They're all Spanish. Zubimendi's rating out of 20 is 16. That's the incomings done. On to the outgoings. Starting with the loans. Reece Nelson to Brentford, 5 out of 10. This summer should have been the summer for both parties to move on from each other. but maybe he can increase his market value whilst being on loan so Arsenal can get more for him next summer. Zinchenko, 4 out of 10. Again, same as Reece Nelson, both parties should have moved on from each other, but I didn't see him starting for Forest either week in week out, so it's not like a case of Reece Nelson where he can increase his market value. They should have just sold him for 10 to 15 million euros. Karl Hein, I don't know much about him, and I don't think he had a future at Arsenal, so I'm just going to leave it as not any. Lokonga joined Hamburg for 300k, and this one's a 0 out of 10. They bought him for 17.5 million euros. He looked like the future of the midfield, and they even loaned him out to Palace and Sevilla, yet only received 300k for him. That's not good enough. Poor business from Arsenal. Marquinhos for 3 million euros, similar to what they paid for him, but 4 out of 10, as they did make a slight loss on him, and he was quite hyped up when he first joined the club. Nuno Tavares, 1 out of 10. 5 million euros. If you saw the form this man was in last season, you'd understand why I'm rating this so lowly. So lowly? So low. He was so good that I earned him a first team call up for Portugal. I don't think Arsenal or anyone expected him to shine this well, so the buy option was included there just for the sake of it. I think if Arsenal knew he was going to be this good and could renegotiate the price fee, they would have gone at least 20 million euros for him. And finally, Arsenal's most expensive sale, Jakub Kiwior. Yes, it's a loan for now, but it's mandatory like Nketiah, and it's for 27 million euros. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. They could have got more in my opinion, but at least they didn't make a loss on him, but rather around the 3 million euros profit. I still think they could have pushed it to 35 million euros, which is why I'm only giving it a 7. That's all of Arsenal's summer transfer windows and departures done. Let's add up all the ratings and see what Arsenal's percentage is. Arsenal's total percentage comes to 64.78%. It's more the outgoings that cost them, otherwise they would have had a much higher rating, as I believe the incomings were good. That's the end of the video, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you agree with my predictions or not. Thank you for watching. Not predictions, sorry, ratings. Thank you for watching.